What's up, everybody? It is a Blue Drake, and today I wanted to make this video in preparation for the server testing event that we are going to be having later this evening at 5 p.m. Eastern. Server connection information is in the title of this video, or also on BlueDrake42.com, where you can see all of the servers that we host. And of course, if you enjoy what we do, you can become a supporter on BlueDrake42.com and help us continue doing it. But today I'm going to be doing a tutorial and showcase of one of the main features that is going to be available on our development server that you're going to be helping polish up and give us some feedback on. This is going to be the forward outpost deployment system in our custom advanced and secure game mode. Very similar to things like Squad, very similar to things like Project Reality, but with a big twist that makes it a lot more effective for ArmA. So, welcome to the new forward outpost deployments in ArmA. Now, for this game mode, for those of you who are not aware, this game mode is a procedurally generated advanced and secure sector control game mode. Every single playthrough, every time that you replay this mission, it will regenerate the objectives. The starting bases will be different. The objectives will be different. The frontline paths will be different and will be randomly generated across the map. Now, when you are fighting in this entirely player versus player teamwork driven arena, the main thing that is going to be driving your forces is these deployment bases that you can deploy on the front lines and you can expand in order to allow you to deliver supplies, to deliver vehicles, to even deliver loadouts for your crew, and offer repairs and ammunition for existing vehicles in the field. So really quick, we're going to take a look at this supply depot that we have deployed on the front line, and the first thing you're going to see is the loadout menu. From here, you can actually deploy ammunition, you can deploy sandbags and other things, something very similar to things like Squad and Project Reality, except instead of just having smaller emplacements, which makes sense for smaller games such as Squad, which only has about 4x4 kilometer maps, compared to ArmA, which has Altis, which is an obscenely larger amount of terrain. Instead of just having sandbags and emplacements, you actually have the ability to deploy entire vehicle spawn points. So when we come to one of these nodes, which are deployed whenever you deploy a forward base, you have the option to, with the resources that your base generates over time, very similar to Squad, you can deploy forward respawns for things such as tanks, artillery, aircraft, transports, anything your team needs in order to be successful. And as you expand your base will automatically upgrade itself to offer more things. So for instance, now you can see we have access to static launchers, HMGs, and a couple of more advanced equipment now that we have a more fleshed out base. And the more that you do this, the more resources that you save up and the more time you spend upgrading your base, the larger the base will become, the more effective the base will become. And you can upgrade your base to have any required style of vehicles or weaponry that your team needs to succeed. Now, one last thing about this FOB system before we continue is, as you can see on the map, there are currently 3 bases that are deployed. There's FARP Oscar, FARP Charlie, and FARP Whiskey. FARP Whiskey is a small base that is on the front line. FARP Oscar is our starting base, which starts fully upgraded. And FARP Charlie is the base we are at right now that we are currently constructing. Now, obviously, we've saved up a lot of resources over time before this video started, which is why I'm able to upgrade it so fast. But as you can see, FARP Whiskey has a smaller blue circle, FARP Charlie has a medium-sized circle, and the fully upgraded FARP Oscar has a much larger circle. Now, what these circles are is they are actually enemy detection radiuses. So in a real life scenario, obviously an FARP would be defended by patrols, scouts, things that you probably won't be able to afford on a server that can only have 128 people. But in a real life scenario with maybe thousands of people, it would make more sense to have constant defenses at your different FARPs that are deployed. In order to make up for this, in order to make up for the fact that we can only have 128 players in ArmA, these blue circles actually are enemy detection radiuses. So whenever there are enemies within a certain distance of this FARP, this circle will turn a yellowish or reddish color in order to denote that there are enemy units in this area and that you need to patrol and flush them out. Now, this actually makes a lot of sense because there is no restrictions for where you can deploy an FARP. In this game mode that we are developing, called Project Reality ArmA 3, you are able to deploy FARPs wherever you need them to be deployed. And of course, as you can see here, all the FARPs can have any style of vehicle that you are able to afford. So you could deploy an FARP on the front line purely as a armored motor pool, or you could also travel all the way out to the outskirts and, for instance, secure an airfield, even an airfield all the way on the other side of the map, deploy an FARP there, deploy aircraft and fixed-wing aircraft to deploy out of there, and you could actually use that as a close air support resupply base as you fly your close air support back and forth between the front line. And of course, while you are doing that, you will have this defense radius, which will tell you if there are enemy forces nearby, so you can actually have your defending forces deploy there and defend the airbase when there are enemies nearby. But when there are not, you know that you can rest easy and you can operate freely. Now, the radiuses of detection actually expand and become larger the larger the base is. So for instance, now that we are about to upgrade the final construction node for this base, let's do something crazy like slammer up here. Now you'll see that our base is now fully upgraded, and it has the largest detection zone available. And now also that we have a fully upgraded FARP, we have the ability to upgrade our equipment. We have the ability to get different pilot and crew kits. So for instance, I can get my tank crew kit in order to drive my tank. I can get different drones that I am able to deploy and use on the field with a UAV operator kit. I'm able to deploy things such as mortars, artillery, as well as even these rally points that you are able to take with your squad and deploy as a forward spawn, even if you do not have a full-blown FARP. And of course, one of the main things that you are able to do in this game mode is, in order to build more FARPs, you have to upgrade an FARP with a FARP deployment truck. Once you have this logistics truck and it has been unlocked and constructed, you can actually take this to the front line. And you can deploy yet another FARP. So I hope that gives you kind of like a good overview of what we've been working on. We're going to be testing this again at 5 p.m. Eastern on the server. We've done a bunch of bug fixes, and we've also done a large migration to have all of these features be server-sided modifications, which means performance is going to be exquisite, hopefully. You guys will be able to come in and help us test even more, and you'll be able to test these systems with us. Now, in this mode, whenever there is a match that starts, there is a fully upgraded base and also a starting forward deployment base that starts for both sides, and the side that takes all of the flags or kills the enemy forces all the way down to 0 tickets wins the match. So yeah, that is pretty much it. that is it for this dev vlog. Hopefully you guys think this is cool. If you want to support this, make sure you go to bluedrake42.com and make sure you are there at 5 p.m. Eastern to help us test this and make it the best modification that we can possibly make. Now, one last thing. A lot of people have asked if they need to download anything in order to play this. No, you do not. We specifically have built this entire mission so you can join the server. It is completely vanilla, and the reason it is built that way is specifically so other communities can take this modification and put any other modification into it. So for instance, you could create a World War II version of this, you could create a Vietnam version of this, you could create a community project version of this with all different vehicles and all different anything you can possibly think of. And we've made it completely modular so you can do just that. But for now, the server that we are hosting is entirely vanilla, so you do not have to download anything. You can just come join. So make sure you do that. Connection information on bluedrake42.com, and I'll see you there. All right. Love you guys. Bye.